Hey, what's up everyone? Greg Hellback here from VelocityHouseBuyers.com. Thanks for watching this video. Today I want to talk about when to close on properties versus when to assign properties. So I'll share with you kind of how I got started when it came to making this decision on when to close on the property and then when to assign it. So when I got started in this business about 3.5 years ago, I was not really in a position where I could close on properties because I did not have a lot of capital and I did not have a lot of network, or I didn't have a network that could lend me capital, right? I had no track record, no credibility, nothing. So my only exit strategy when I got started was to get a property in contract and then assign the contract over to another buyer and make a wholesaling fee. And I started doing that sort of successfully in a challenging market. And I realized that a lot of the people who I was assigning these properties to, we were making serious money. I mean, these guys were making 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 plus $1,000. And I was here making 5, 10 grand, which isn't bad when you're starting, but I'm like, oh my goodness, I gotta, be on the other side of this transaction instead I gotta be on the buyer side instead of the assigner side. So I decided that, eventually I'm gonna decide to start to close on more deals. So over the last probably 6 months now, I've probably been closing on at least half of my properties, and we've just been cleaning the properties and sticking them back on the market, called wholetailing. And the profit margins have been 2, 3, or 4x what I would have made assigning the property. So like kind of, had an awakening, and I was like, oh my goodness, if I can wholesale a property successfully, I am going to totally do it, because I just think there's way more upside and you're doing a little bit more work, taking a little bit more risk, but I believe the upside's there. So rule number one, if you're going to, know the difference between assigning and taking deals down, the upside's got to be there, right? If the upside is there, and if there's a disproportionate amount of upside that you can make by closing on the property to sell it on the MLS versus assigning it, I would always say, even if you're new, get the capital from somebody to be able to close on that, because you're going to just be able to grow a lot quicker with more capital in your business account, because you're just maximizing the profits on these properties. In my opinion, the hardest thing to do in this business so far, and I'm obviously not an expert, right? I have a lot to learn, but I've discovered the hardest thing to do is definitely getting these properties and finding these deals. Once you can find a true deal that's a real deal and you put it under contract, I think 80% of the work has been done, because that's the valuable item that everyone's looking for, is the discounted property in today's hot real estate market. So number one, understand that if the upside is there, really look to close on it. Number two, here's another difference between assigning and taking deals down. I'll give you a reason to assign is, if you have a property and let's say you're meeting with a seller and it's not a great deal, but you totally think you could probably do something, but you don't know what that something's going to be, and you really don't know, like if you're not 100% certain on that being a deal, I always like to just assign those types of deals. If I look at the deal and I think, this is an okay deal, but for some reason, there's a couple things wrong with it, maybe the market, maybe the area, I always like to just assign those and kind of get them out of my way, especially if they need a major renovation. Like I'm talking $100,000 plus renovation, and you really can't close on it and wholesale it. I like to personally just assign those out to someone else and let them deal with it and take my upfront assignment fee and then move on to the next property. Another difference between assigning and taking stuff down and knowing the difference is, sometimes you have just too many properties going on, and to close on, let's say you have 5 properties, to close on 5 out of 5 properties, it just might not be possible for you at the moment. If you keep growing, it will be. But sometimes if you have too much on your plate, you have too much capital on the street, or you have too much investor money, you're going to have to assign some of those deals. Maybe 2 out of those 5 are real good deals, but you have to assign them because you can't close on them. That might be another position where you can assign instead of close on it. You don't want to get yourself overwhelmed in a dangerous position where you have too much capital and too much risk out on the street. So if you have too many properties you're working, maybe assign a few of them, get some cash in the bank, and then go ahead and use that cash then to close on more deals that are good. So that's the difference, I think, between knowing when to assign and knowing when to close on stuff. Obviously, the upside's got to be there. If it's a marginal deal and you can have someone else buy it without you taking that risk, I would say assign it. And then obviously, if you are in a position where you have too much capital on the street or you have too many projects going on at once, it would make more sense to assign some properties so you don't get yourself in a bad position. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to find out more about myself and my company, we're looking to work with some other investors. We're looking to work with some more people on a passive approach, maybe having some other investors come in and work with us, maybe on a lending perspective. Feel free to reach out to me if you have more questions about that. Greg at VelocityHouseBuyers.com. Once again, that's Greg at velocityhousebuyers.com. We're looking for some people to work with from a lending perspective, so feel free to reach out if you're ever interested, and I'll see everybody on the next video. Bye-bye.